Hey everybody, happy Thursday. I did not go live yesterday because I was traveling. I heard from some of you that you missed me yesterday, and I'm back. I'm back. We're going to talk about something kind of spicy today, but I get a lot of questions about this, and so I want to be able to give all of you a really strong explanation on why, if you've been in talk therapy for years or you've been in any sort of cognitive modality, why you feel like you may have hit a plateau in your healing. You may have hit a plateau in your ability to shift. We're going to talk about it today. And so if you're here, say hello. Hi, Ricky. Let me know where you're joining in from. Let me know if this is your first time joining me live. If you are here, you are family. I say that all the time. You all know this, but I am here on this Instagram page. If you DM me, you get me, right? Yes, I do have team members that are in there if you need something specifically, but I check all of my DMs. I am the person that is in there communicating with you. So if you are here, I want you to know that I am so grateful. I'm so grateful that you're here and we have a relationship. I love you, and I love that you're here spending time with me over the next 15 to 20 minutes. My goal over the next month is to go live to really start to educate some of you in what I do, what my expertise is, and how you can come and learn what I have to give and what I have to offer. Because what I truly deeply believe, my mission in the world, is that I want everyone to have really robust, beautiful, abundant lives. And I think there are so many of us on the planet right now that are walking around. We have settled for a lot in our lives. We're not living robust, beautiful, abundant lives. And I want you to know that there is a possibility. There is a reality that does exist where you can have the things that you desire. You can have really beautiful, intimate relationships. You can have an abundance of wealth. You can have the health and the body that you've always desired. It's all possible. And it all comes down to understanding the language of your nervous system. And many of us grew up in society that was preached that talk therapy is the answer and it will solve all your problems. And part of my story, which I'm sure many of you heard, if you've been following along this week, I was in talk therapy for a really long time and it quit moving the needle. And that is when I had to get curious around different ways that really truly transformed the way that my life showed up for me. And so I want to talk a little bit today about why talk therapy, just traditional talk therapy, and also not just talk therapy, a lot of coaching can actually be detrimental to your growth, okay, after a certain period of time. And I'm going to give you the actual scientific explanation of it. So let's start high level. And I want you to understand that when you talk about your problems, I spoke about this in a video a couple days ago. The nervous system doesn't speak in story, okay? The nervous system speaks in sensation and it speaks in emotion. So if you are a leader or if you are a therapist or you are a coach and you are spending your sessions with your clients, or if you are someone who is seeing a therapist or a coach or some sort of healing professional, and that person is just sitting there having conversation with you, talking about what has happened to you in the past, and there is no somatic integration, there is no body integration in what's happening in your session, you run a very high risk of re-traumatizing your body, which will keep you in repetitive cognitive loops over and over and over again, okay? So part of the reason why talking about your problems doesn't really work long-term is because you are overloading your system without any sort of regulation. And what I mean by this is that when you experience something in the past that was too fast, too much, too soon for your body to properly access safety, your body goes into a survival response, okay? It goes into a survival response to keep you safe, to get you out of threat. And if your body goes into that survival response and it never had the proper container to get to safety, when you rub up against a moment that's very similar to that moment you experienced when your body went into the survival response, your body is going to viscerally feel that same reaction because it never had time to properly get to safety. This is what a trigger is. A lot of people talk about being triggered. And here's what I want you to know. If you have triggers, there is a reality that does exist where your triggers are not in control of you, but you in a lot of ways are in control of your triggers and the way that your triggers show up inside of your body. So if you think about it, if you spend a lot of time talking about what has happened to you, if you are a practitioner and you are talking with your clients all the time about things in their past, and you are doing nothing to renegotiate what shows up in the system inside of someone's body, you're not working with the body, you run a very high risk of re-traumatizing that client. You run a risk of going back into that initial survival response and reliving it again with no resolve. So talk therapy gets to what we call cognitive overload. It's like your brain starts reliving what has happened in the past over and over and over again. And your nervous system starts to feel what it felt in that initial moment with no resolve. So talking about your problems with no somatic integration, without looking at the body, all you're doing is just bringing an old wound up to the surface and not doing anything about it. You're not actually choosing to heal it, okay? The other problem with most coaching modalities and most traditional talk therapy is that therapists and coaches, and this is not all therapists, right? It's not all coaches, but there are healing professionals who are not trained in storytelling without safety, okay? When I work with a client and we're working with a particularly triggering event, we're working with a traumatic event, I do not go straight in to the line of fire. We usually start talking about earlier that morning or after the event happened, because I am tracking what's happening in their system to keep their system from going into overload. So oftentimes, if you've been in talk therapy and you feel like I get this all the time. This used to be me. You feel like you have this huge cathartic release and you're crying and you're crying and you're crying. And then the session's over and you maybe feel okay for a second, and then you get in your car and you feel like shit again a couple hours later. Chances are that practitioner wasn't practicing storytelling with safety. They overloaded your system. They took you into a survival response and gave you no resolve. They didn't titrate the experience so that your nervous system could properly reintegrate the survival response as it started to come up in your system, right? So traditional talk therapy, traditional mindset coaching, we often think, and I want everyone to hear this, okay? There's a lot on the internet right now. There's practitioners out there where you see people like having these crazy screaming fits and crazy crying fits. These are what we call cathartic releases. There is very little scientific evidence that this actually renegotiates survival responses inside of the system. This is why sometimes when you have a really big cry with no access to safety, no proper container to renegotiate that trauma, you still don't feel good the day after. In true trauma renegotiation work, it is slow, it is titrated. We're trying our best. The cathartic release doesn't actually matter. It's something that's really Instagram worthy right now. Right? There's a lot of breathwork facilitators where you see these videos of people like convulsing on the ground and having these crazy experiences. I look at that and I say, whoa, that is actually very dangerous. That's dangerous because this experience isn't titrated. The nervous system doesn't actually have access to safety in that moment. So I want you to think about when you get into a story, if you are a practitioner and you do not know how to properly lead your clients into a story with safety and proper trauma renegotiation techniques, you could potentially re-traumatize your clients. That is a possibility, and you need to be thinking about that, right? We also run the risk, and when we talk about our problems all the time, we also run the risk of disassociating, of numbing out, okay? Because we start to talk about it so much and the nervous system gets so overloaded that it disassociates, it freezes, it goes into a survival response. And next thing you know, Lauren's left the room. Where is she? The traumatic event was too much. I relived it and it was too much for my system. So my system went back into that survival response. And here I am again, reliving that survival response with no resolve. Okay. So we have to think about, when we're working from a whole body approach, if you truly want to see change in your life, as a practitioner, if you truly want to lead your clients, you guys, to big, massive shifts in their life, you have to start working with the body. You have to. You cannot continue to lead your clients through stories and or tell them, well, just choose differently. They can't choose differently. Their nervous system doesn't feel safe enough to choose differently. I know there's a lot of practitioners out there right now that take people into what we call activations, right? Which I do activations after establishing safety in the system. And people come back. They don't actually have resolve. They don't get the results that they desire. And it's because their nervous system is still operating in survival, okay? A beautiful example of this, you can sit in front of your mirror all day long and recite affirmations to yourself. You can say it. But if your nervous system doesn't actually feel safe with the affirmation that is coming out of your mouth, the things you desire aren't going to make their way to you. Talk therapy is very similar. When we go and we just talk about our problems all the time, but our body hasn't actually renegotiated and actually gotten to safety when it feels like it's in survival, and all we've done is talk about our problems, and we haven't done the work to get the nervous system in alignment with the cognitive work that we're spewing out of our mouth, all we're doing is re-traumatizing ourselves. All we're doing is forking out money to a therapist to talk about our problems, to not actually resolve anything. So we have to start to look at the body. Cognitive work, talk therapy work, mindset work, it is 20% of the healing puzzle. Do we need it? Yes. We need to be able to link cognitively what is happening in our current reality. How is it a reflection of what I experienced in the past, right? In relationship to my past relationships, in relationship to my childhood dynamics, in relationship to my generational dynamics, in relationship to the trauma I've experienced. We need those cognitive links. But the other 80% is what's happening in the nervous system. When you talk about that thing that happened, what survival response does your nervous system go into? How can we work with that response and get it to safety through trauma renegotiation work so that you can start to actually shift through your triggers? You can start to feel in control of your life. You can have more access to presence. Peace becomes your baseline. And things that used to derail you, that you used to go to your therapist about over and over and over again, they're actually resolved in the system. You feel differently. This is why we have to take a full body approach. Talk therapy, mindset work is only a tiny piece of the puzzle. We have to start doing whole body integration work, okay? This is what I do inside of my programs. This is the work I do. As a somatic practitioner, we do have cognitive work, but the majority of the work I do is tracking your nervous system to see when is it going into a survival response and how can we renegotiate that survival response so that safety becomes your baseline and not survival. Also, this is something I want to talk about. If you are listening to me and you are here and you are a practitioner in any degree, you are a coach, you are a talk therapist, you are a healer, you are a medium, you are a psychic, you deal with humans and helping them become better people as your career. You must learn how to work with the body. You must learn how to be trauma informed as to not re-traumatize your clients. Please, 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 please. Because most of the people I get in my practice have been in coaching, have been in therapy for a long time, and they have been massively re-traumatized by all of the cognitive work they've done and no internal work. So if that is you and you want to learn that, come to my Embodied Leader Masterclass on October 24th. You've got to come because I'm going to talk more about the how. How do we actually do this as practitioners? How do we start to bridge the gap between just cognitive work and getting the body on board? Really looking at survival responses inside of the system. How do we avoid going into story dump? How do we avoid going into re-traumatization? How do we avoid our clients going into meaning making about freaking everything? How do we avoid our clients having a really great breakthrough and then coming back and spiraling out 2 days later. How do we avoid that? How do we mitigate it? How do we start to bridge the gap for true health in the body? This is what I'm going to be talking about in the Embodied Leader Masterclass. Come. It's 2 hours. You're going to be able to ask questions. I'm going to be teaching all about the trauma-trained approach to be able to do this as a coach, as a healing professional, as a therapist. We've had a lot of therapists go through the program who want to learn somatic reintegration work. So come, drop the word embody in the comments below, or if you're watching the replay of this, make sure that you drop it underneath this video, and I'll send you the link to come to that masterclass on the 24th. If you're interested in working with me directly, you're not a leader, you're not a therapist, you're not a coach, and you are interested in actually having somatic work, reintegration work done on your system, then this is when you would come into my home monthly membership or my collective program. My collective program is an application-based program. I'm getting ready to shut down enrollment. It will not reopen again until 2025. And it is weekly somatic therapy sessions with me. You also get access to my framework. The membership, my home monthly membership, you do get access to somatic work. You get a session with me once a month. You also get access to all of my mini trainings on Fridays. You get access to a nervous system learning presentation that I do the first Monday of every month. There's a community of women. If you come into the collective, you get access to home, but the monthly membership kind of gives you a taste of what somatic work really feels like and looks like, and also gives you a community of women that you can pour into. The collective is more in depth. If you're really ready to dive into deep nervous system work, come into the collective. You can drop the word home below this video if you want to come into the home membership. If you want to come into the collective, drop the initials ALC below, and I will send you the application to apply. Again, it is an application process, and I'll let you know if you're accepted. So if you want to do the somatic work on your own, come in and hang out with us. I hope this was helpful. I know that there's a lot out there in the world right now. There are a lot of people too that are talking about somatic modalities. I'm going to do another video about this. It feels like the word somatic is in front of literally everything right now. It's driving me bonkers. And I'll talk about why in hopefully tomorrow's video. But if you're here, I just want you to know, if you do anything for yourself this year, anything, start to do the nervous system work. Just start. I promise you, it is going to change your entire life. Entire life. We should not be proud of having our therapists on speed dial. We shouldn't. I always tell my clients, I don't want you to need me. If I'm doing my work correctly, I don't want you to need me all the time. You shouldn't. Yes, something big comes up and you need to come and you need to process it. But you should never have a therapist, a coach on speed dial. That is a sign of codependency. That is a sign of dysregulation in the nervous system. So take this video today as inspiration for you to start leaning into the whole body approach. Okay? Cognitive work is important, but what's even more important is understanding the language of your nervous system. Okay, if you want to know more about this and you're not ready to really dive into the somatic work, you can also, I launched my Master Your Nervous System mini course this week. It's so good. It's packed with so much information on the nervous system. Go grab it because it's really juicy and it's self-study. So you can just go through it at your own pace. And if you drop the word embody, that's what will trigger the automation to send you that link too. So happy Thursday. I have made it to beautiful Colorado. I'm currently in Loveland, Colorado, speaking at an event, my friend Jenny's event on Sunday. We have something exciting coming for you guys in a couple of weeks too. But I am in Colorado and I will go live tomorrow. I love you guys so much and I will see you tomorrow.